Hello and welcome to Let's Review. Well, it's another one of those weeks where the Let's Play of a game took 2 weeks to record and upload, so as a result this week I will once again go digging in the crate. When deciding what to do for this week's episode, I considered a couple of possibilities, but in the end I decided to play something related to the Let's Play of the week. So as a result, let's talk about The Witcher. Alright, I will bite. What exactly is the connection there? Well, they're both fantasy RPGs, they're both based on book series that I haven't read, and they both feature protagonists with improbable sword skills, a wolf motif, and funky glowy eyes. Well, I'll be. You actually seem to have picked something appropriate. Will wonders never cease? Oh, hardy, hardy, har. The Witcher is based on a series of fantasy books by Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski, and I'm going to apologise immediately because I can guarantee I pronounced that wrong. The protagonist is Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf, who's one of the last of the Witchers who are, at this point, a dying breed. They're an elite group of monster hunters. Each of them has gone through a transformation that has increased their speed, their strength, and it's also altered their eyes, turning them into yellow cat-like slits which allow them to see better in the dark. They are also feared and hated by, well, most of the population. And why exactly do people hate those who protect them from monsters? Because people are arseholes. Well, I can't actually fault you there, unfortunately. I know, it's kind of depressing, actually. The world of The Witcher is not a pleasant one. It has elves and dwarves, but most humans consider them to be inferior, and as a result they're relegated to so-called non-human districts, which are basically slums. The world of The Witcher is full of pain, misery, racism, and death. Oh, and boobs. Oh yes, I remember hearing about this. The sex trading card game? Oh, that's doing it a disservice. There's no trading involved. It's more of a collection minigame. And you know what the weird thing is? I think I'm the only person who doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Really? After all the fuss you made about Honeypop, you're not going to object to the same thing here? No, because it's not the same thing. My problem with Honeypop was never with the sex, it was with the lying. Those women didn't know that you were going to be sleeping around. Whereas in The Witcher, every woman Geralt sleeps with is fully aware of the fact that they're probably never going to see him again. Let's face it, he's a travelling monster hunter. And they're all totally fine with that. I have no problem with sexual content in games, providing it's all consensual and everybody knows where they stand. But the collectible cards are goofy, and certainly not the best idea they ever had. But honestly, I would rather have that than just a boring fade to black. Overall, I've talked for too long already about the sexual content of this game, so as a result, I am just going to move on to the topic of repeatedly thrusting pointed objects into soft, tender flesh. Was that joke strictly necessary? No, but it was fun. As a Witcher, Geralt carries 2 swords, one made of steel and one made of silver. In the gameplay, this translates to certain swords being better for certain situations, monsters being vulnerable to silver. As a result, though, the combat is actually probably the weakest element of The Witcher, simply because there are 3 styles that you can use with each sword: heavy, fast, and group. Unfortunately, as a result, it's more a case of figuring out exactly which style you need to use to defeat an enemy. Is it a man in armour? Then you're going to want to use the steel sword in the heavy style. If you're getting swarmed by a group of drowners, then you're going to want to use the silver sword in the group style. And as such, there's not really that much variation, it's just using whatever is most effective. So you don't have that many options in combat, then? Not really. While you can win fights using the other styles, it'll take quite a while. Though I will certainly admit that you can spice up the combat by throwing in various magic attacks. Overall, the combat of The Witcher is definitely its weakest aspect. You begin an attack string by clicking on an enemy, and you continue it by clicking on it again when the game tells you to. However, what really supports The Witcher well is the quality of its story. And to really get a feel for that, I'm going to have to demonstrate with this. This is my copy of the game's guide, and this was a really bad thing to give me when I first bought my copy of this game.
I assume you were unable to resist the temptation to read ahead?
You assume correctly. Regardless of my own personal failings, the amount of choice that this game offers you during its quests is amazing. Almost every quest has at least a couple of options for how to resolve it. One quest in particular during Act 2 is a murder investigation with about a half dozen suspects, and the game will quite happily let you accuse the wrong person, and the consequences for that will play out later. It never outright tells you what the solution is. All you have to solve it are the clues that it gives you and your own mind.
Or a strategy guide in which to look up the answer.
Yeah, alright, or a strategy guide. Geralt begins the game with amnesia, which, as he has pointed out, is one of gaming's biggest cliches. But they don't really go overboard with it. It's mainly used as an excuse for why everything has to be explained to him. The real plot of The Witcher is about the recovery of lost property. At the beginning of the game, the Witcher fortress of Kaer Morhen is attacked by a group of raiders who make off with the Witcher's mutagens, the substances that transform them into Witchers in the first place. As such, the few remaining Witchers split up and go on a quest to recover their lost secrets. Naturally, Geralt is the one to actually encounter the thieves, and during his journey he faces monsters, murderers, politics, and worst of all, small children.
I hope you're not implying that this game includes child killing.
No, of course it doesn't, though you might actually be a little disappointed by that once you encounter one particular child character who is really, really annoying. Though admittedly he does get quite good resolution for his character arc.
It doesn't involve killing him, does it?
There is no child killing in this game, I promise. In his mission, Geralt is aided by a number of friends who I assume to be book characters. These include the bard Dandelion, the dwarf Zoltan, and the witch Triss. All of them are very fleshed out and make really good supporting characters. Dandelion in particular is an absolute hoot, largely because his mouth tends to get him into an awful lot of problems, not all of which his mouth can get him back out of. The game also has you pick sides between the Order of the Flaming Rose, who are dicks, and the non-human terrorists known as the Scoia'tael, who are also dicks.
Ah, a compelling choice there.
No, actually it is. There are good people and there are bastards on both sides, just like the real world. And I do really appreciate that the game that also offers you the choice to stay neutral and instead choose to try and help the people caught in the middle of, well, what I can only describe as their dick measuring contest, frankly. The game likes to put you into really difficult moral decisions. There is no black and white in this world. There's just an awful lot of grey. And it never tells you which it thinks is the right answer, which is the good thing to do. Do you take on a mob of frightened peasants, possibly having to kill some of them in order to protect the single innocent that they want to burn at the stake? Do you slay a group of vampires who have harmed no one, or the knights who came to kill them purely for being what they are?
This world is somewhat depressing, is it not?
It is, but it feels very real. There are no easy ways out, no clearly defined moral compass to help you. You just have to choose your options and live with the consequences. If you like complex stories that are willing to let you define your own morality, I can absolutely recommend The Witcher. Its sequel is also pretty damn good, but I'm going to talk about that in detail some other time, probably in the run-up to the release of Wild Hunt. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some packing to do. I'll be spending the weekend in York at the British Federation of Historical Swordplay's Spring Exchange. I will see you later.